Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. I'm Rachel Dahl. Today on the show we're with Doug Busselman, the Executive Vice President of the Nevada Farm Bureau, on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Politicians, they hide behind commercials and social media, trying to act tough. A bunch of keyboard cowboys. They talk tough about immigration, but none of them have locked up or deported a single violent criminal. Not one. I've deported thousands. They closed schools, tied the hands of police, and wrecked our economy. I'm Joe Lombardo. I'm running for governor because we can do better. Nevada deserves better. Let's take our state back.
Joe Lombardo for governor.
I'm here at the Carson Valley Inn in Minden with Joey Whitaker. Entertainment here at the Carson Valley Inn is extraordinary.
Yeah, super proud of the TJ's Corral, our outdoor venue, about 1,500 seats. We've had first-class entertainment out there. We've had Merle Haggard, we've had Chris Young, we've had Lee Brice a couple times, we've had Pat Benatar, Joan Jett, who's in the Hall of Fame. We're real proud out there, and it's just a great time. Watch CarsonValleyInn.com and grab those tickets early. It's not a long way to get away to the Carson Valley Inn.
Pro Group Management offers workers' comp services to a growing number of industries. As businesses grow and change with the times, the need for a solid workers' comp program must be flexible and up to date. The evolving nature of regulations can make staying ahead of complex tasks challenging. But Pro Group Management simplifies the work so your industry can move forward and succeed. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Do you play golf? The Optimist Club of Reno is hosting the inaugural Ray Pezzanella Memorial Charity Golf Tournament on June 3rd at the Lake Course at Red Hawk Golf and Resort. For more information, go to pezgolf.org. Funds raised go to benefit local children's programs.
Nevada Newsmakers Studio is located at the headquarters of the Nevada Trucking Association. Motion and purpose are a truck's greatest virtue.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. I'm Rachel Dahl. Today on the show we have Doug Busselman, who's the Executive Vice President of the Nevada Farm Bureau. Welcome to the show, Doug, again.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
My first time having you as a guest, so thanks for coming.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Awesome. We've known each other a long time and go back to the Nevada legislature, but I think it's exciting. It's National Beef Month, so let's talk beef.
Yes, well, it is beef month, and beef is a big deal for Nevada. Cow and calf receipts, sales account for about 45% of the state's overall agricultural receipts, and we have a herd of about 244,000 beef cattle around the state. So it is a big deal in Nevada.
It is a big deal, and most people don't think cattle beef production when they think Nevada. But
well, I think because of the fact that cattle are able to eat resources that no one else can use, and because of the domination of federal lands in Nevada, that's the one use that we can make. Grazing on livestock on federal lands makes it possible for us to fit that niche. And most of the production that we have in the state are calves that are then sold or fed elsewhere. But that's kind of where Nevada fits into the niche. We're kind of the incubator of the steaks you're going to be eating down the road.
I think that's so interesting. It's so neat. So the cattle industry in Nevada, when we bring the calves in and it's time to sell them, what's the next step? What happens then?
Well, they usually go to feedlots in the Midwest or probably more in Colorado and Idaho and places like that.
Okay.
And then they're fed grain or other kind of feed supplements to get them up to the weight for when they're harvested.
Okay, so they're exported at this point, and I'm seeing some more push to have Nevada meat processing, what happens? How does that happen? Is
Well,
it worth doing?
it sort of started, I guess the idea when we were locked up in our spare bedrooms during COVID, that was kind of the beginning of it all. And during that time when market channels were blowing out and there was difficulty in having a meat supply even available, at that time we started talking about, well, what can we be doing in order to facilitate meat production in Nevada. We have 2 processing plants in Nevada that are USDA inspected. For a long time, Nevada has had the authority within state law to do in-state processing.
Okay.
And in order for that to happen, you would need to you'd be limited in where you could sell your products only within the state of Nevada.
Okay. So as we grow this industry, then we'd be able to distribute outside of Nevada.
Well, if you have USDA or if you use USDA processing or inspections, then you're able to sell it wherever.
Okay.
But we're trying to, I think, from our idea, the model would be where you would have kind of a stair-stepped approach, so that a business person getting into processing meat would be able to work their way up to get to that level. I mean, you're looking at fairly significant investments to get to be at USDA level. And so we need to work our way up to that. And having an in-state program allows for sales. If you use custom slaughter operations, there you're only allowed to basically do the harvest and it's not inspected. So you're basically using your own beef or your own pork or whatever. Where a state inspector, you'd be able to actually market within the state. The model that we're kind of looking at right now is what they're doing over in Utah, where they've got those multiple levels. Plus, actually, they have all the inspectors that are doing inspections in Utah are employees of the Department of Ag for Utah.
Okay.
And they've got an agreement with the USDA to furnish that federal inspection that's necessary for the USDA stuff.
That's so interesting. And as you get more producers locally, the local food movement, you have all of these different people producing chickens and different animals. And so you just have that ability to continue to grow the industry.
We also have other operations where they're actually doing some small feedlots in our processing. They take their beef then to, like Utah, have the animal harvested there and inspected, and then they bring it back and do the marketing of their beef across the state or across the country because it's got that USDA stamp.
Okay. That's interesting. The local food movement is so fascinating.
And I think it's a niche that we have the opportunity to fill, but in order, you need to have all of the components in place in order to make that work. Yeah. And I think that's what we're looking to try to do, is to bring about that kind of infrastructure that's necessary to accomplish those desires.
It's exciting. That's really exciting. I remember when I was younger, Ag in the Classroom, and we had a real good article in the paper this week from the Churchill County Farm Bureau talking about all of the different uses for cattle. And then I saw some more information yesterday, infographics of all the places that cattle, chickens, even sheep, the byproducts that you can't get away from, and basically becomes the universal recycling plant, for lack of a better word.
Yep.
That talk about how we use every piece.
Well, and I think that's part of the message that sometimes gets lost about the sustainability of agriculture in general, and how we are able to take advantage of those other opportunities to make the most of that, and to have the efficiency and all of the other things that are necessary to bring about the food and fiber and fuel that we use. Much of it comes from agriculture, and it does so in a way that makes use of all of the byproducts and everything else to accomplish that.
Yeah, every piece of the animal is used, from makeup to insulin. Shocking. Like, we just don't think about that. Well, I don't.
Well, plus we play baseball with it and everything
Right.
else.
It's so great. I really am fascinated by that. Talking about food security, in Fallon a few years ago, we started a food hub, a local food hub, for a couple of different reasons. We put it on Main Street, where on the side of town where there wasn't as much like a food desert, basically. And then also we had 8 farmers who contributed to it, and today there's over 23 farmers who are have that as a place. So how does the Farm Bureau get involved in local food security? That's kind of a catchphrase nowadays, but in a local community, talk about food security and how important that is and the role you guys play.
Well, I think most of our activities are more oriented in the policy arena, as opposed to in the direct operations of local food operations. But we do support local groups that are both from a farmer standpoint as well as in the networking standpoint. We have our Young Farmer and Rancher Committee has a program where they raise money and make donations for food goods to, for that sort of thing. We've also got some folks down in Las Vegas who are members who are working to try to put together more of an urban agricultural environment there. We were involved in supporting that legislation that passed in the last legislature to bring those things about. So a lot of our activity is more in the policy area as well as in the cheerleading process. We have been working now on the farm bill for the next farm bill, and some of those discussions have also involved food baskets and other kinds of arrangements that come from the federal government.
Oh, that's good. What are you working specifically in the Farm Bureau for Nevada? What's a couple of the top issues?
Well, I think water is probably the number one issue
that
we spend most of our time on. During this interim process, the Public Lands Committee, or Public Lands Subcommittee, it used to be a committee, but now it is a subcommittee of the Natural Resources Committee. They're getting involved in water conservation and some of those things, and so we're monitoring and participating in their meetings.
Okay, that's good. Farm Bureau is kind of an institution, has always been a part of the vernacular in Nevada, I think, and it's...
Well, Nevada Farm Bureau began in 1919, so we have been around for quite a while. It was first created in order to bring about local Farm Bureau activities to help work with cooperative extension, and over the years we've grown into become I think a pretty active force in the legislature and in the regulatory fields as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. We'll take a little break and we'll be right back with Doug Busselman from the Nevada Farm Bureau.
Liberals Steve Sisolak and Aaron Ford. Socialism out of control. Releasing violent criminals, special interests over our children, and crippling shutdowns on small businesses. It's time for a conservative approach. Republican Tisha Black. A mom who will put our kids first. A self-made businesswoman who will stop government overreach. And Tisha backs the blue. She'll get tough on crime. Tisha Black, the conservative choice for Attorney General.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org. Hi, I'm Renee Summerhour, digital news anchor here at 7 at 7. Watch our streaming nonstop newscast immediately with your mobile phone. 7 at 7 is the new way for you to get every bit of local news you need in just 7 minutes. Breaking news, local neighborhood news, weather, and sports are just a click away. Reporters bring you all of what's happening in the Valley. From Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, YouTube, and more. Get every bit of local news you need from the RJ and LVRJ.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
We're back on Nevada Newsmakers with Doug Busselman, who's the Executive Vice President of the Nevada Farm Bureau. And we're talking about sustainability in agriculture, and sustainability is kind of the catchphrase for where we're going in the world today. And it's exciting to learn about agriculture's role in that. There was a study that you guys, the Farm Bureau, had posted that talks about how we're doing more with less in agriculture. Super exciting, but interesting.
Well, and that whole efficiency thing has been going on, I mean, since we became a country. Once upon a time, the majority of people were involved in, growing their own food. Whereas now we're probably less than 2% or even maybe close to 1% of the total population, and we're feeding more people not only in our country but throughout the world. And so that efficiency and there's also the concern over making sure that there's available lands for other purposes. And in the study that you made mention of, I mean, that's the equivalent of California and New York combined being no longer used for agriculture, even though agriculture is still number one in the state of California, especially. Right. California is the largest ag-producing state in the union. But again, I think it's the equivalency of those number of acres that have become possible because of our efficiency and our effectiveness in producing on the land that's still available and setting aside then other lands for other purposes.
Yeah, I find that fascinating to think the information in that study said since 1990 we've become so efficient that we're using 100 million less acres. But when you think about agriculture, there are certain places where things grow and certain places where things don't. And so when you think about 100 million acres being out of production, does that have an impact on a community when that land goes out of production, or we're still producing the same amount, so financially there's not an impact? How?
Well, I think originally I'm a Midwestern farm boy, and so I know that there have been changes that have taken place and consolidation that's taken place with what was considered to be smaller family farm type situations now becoming, they're still family owned and still operated, but they're more large. There's fewer farmers, so there's more land that they're farming and ranching on. But it does have an effect on local communities and some of the traditional ways that we've been established in the past. The Midwest, I think, is still kind of the breadbasket of the world. I mean, as we have been dealing with the food crisis that internationally because of the Ukrainian war, there's a lot of concern and even efforts underway to try to bring about additional production, even in our country. The Biden administration last week was working at trying to encourage more incentives for doing double cropping, where you basically produce 2 crops per year based on the rotation and depending on your weather and your climate to be able to do that. So, I mean, there's a need for more production. We live in a very hungry world that needs all we've got and then some.
Right.
But we're working at it both through the innovation of technology as well as in some of the other things that are being done.
Yeah, the technology is amazing, the things we're able to do, and to allow us to produce more crops on less land makes a lot of sense. I think I think of the farmer as the original efficiency expert, I would think.
Yeah, I would agree.
When you talk about the Ukraine, there's some interesting information that I've seen lately about even fertilizer was exported from the Ukraine and Russia, and now that's having an impact on our local farmers. When we come back from the break, let's talk about inflation and the role where that puts the American farmer.
That'll be great. Thanks.
All right. We'll be back on Nevada Newsmakers.
Liberals Steve Sisolak and Aaron Ford. Socialism out of control. Releasing violent criminals, special interests over our children, and crippling shutdowns on small businesses. It's time for a conservative approach. Republican Tisha Black. A mom who will put our kids first. A self-made businesswoman who will stop government overreach. And Tisha backs the blue. She'll get tough on crime. Tisha Black, the conservative choice for Attorney General.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
Don't miss the $200,000 Big Cash giveaways at Tamarack Casino through May 28th. One $10,000 Big Cash winner guaranteed every Saturday, plus over $60,000 in grand prize giveaways. The $200,000 Big Cash giveaways at Tamarack Casino.
Ahern Rentals began as Signal Gas Station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John Ahern grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing Ahern Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company, with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, Ahern Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahern.com.
A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
We're back on Nevada Newsmakers with Doug Busselman in the Nevada Farm Bureau, and we're talking inflation. Go figure. The impact, you talked about the Ukraine, and of course that's having an impact. But what else is kind of creating this inflation where we're 8.3% higher than last year in inflation, and how is that affecting farms?
Well, it's affecting farms a lot. While we've had, right now we're at a time where there's the promise of having good crops or hopefully good crops in very high markets. The challenge is dealing with the cost of production. Yeah. And so, when you're talking about fuel cost and everything else that enters into that, fertilizer and availability, as well as being able to afford to buy it even if you can't find it, all of those factors, all weigh into an overall contribution of where we are in terms of being able to be to make a profit after you're doing the production.
Yeah, and as I guess we'll go back to beef month, the price in the grocery store for meat, milk, that's got an impact. Talk about the meat pricing issue.
Well, and a lot of that goes back to just COVID and some of the challenges that came about when you couldn't keep processing facilities open or to keep the supply chains operating. So that was probably the biggest start of that whole mess, and it's just continued on from there.
All right. Are our production facilities up and running back to pre-COVID now? Or?
Not totally. Labor is still a big issue. Being able to get enough people to work in the plants and to do the processing is still a challenge. In our conversations with processors, they're always scrambling to have enough labor.
Yeah, which brings us back to our young farmers. Farm Bureau has scholarships, is that correct?
We have several, yes.
Yeah.
Through our Nevada Foundation that we have, that we do provide scholarships to those who are interested in applying and participating.
Good deal. Well, we appreciate you coming on as always.
Well, thank you for having us.
We appreciate the Nevada Farm Bureau and all the work that you do.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for joining us on Nevada Newsmakers today. We'll be right back.
Politicians, they hide behind commercials and social media, trying to act tough. A bunch of keyboard cowboys. They talk tough about immigration, but none of them have locked up or deported a single violent criminal. Not one. I've deported thousands. They closed schools, tied the hands of police, and wrecked our economy. I'm Joe Lombardo. I'm running for governor because we can do better. Nevada deserves better. Let's take our state back.
Joe Lombardo for governor.
I'm here at the Carson Valley Inn in Minden with Joey Whitaker. One of the things I love about the Carson Valley Inn here in beautiful downtown Minden is CV steak. I have eaten here so many times. Tell folks what they can expect when they come here to eat.
It's a beautiful room, great service. We have certified Angus beef, seafood, lamb, a great range of appetizers, and wonderful desserts. Jean-Michel's done a great job of selecting some beautiful wines for us. The customers love it, and we've got a great selection of cocktails as well. It's not a long way to get away to the Carson Valley Inn.
With Nevada's only transplant center and verified burn center, the science is here. With award-winning cardiologist and the state's only dedicated heart failure clinic, the talent is here. With Nevada's most advanced robotic surgery, the technology is here. And with the Silver State's only designated pediatric trauma center, hope is here. All because we are here. UMC.
Safety is the #1 priority for the trucking industry. Over $7 billion a year is spent on technology like this electronic eye that will apply the brakes automatically. But the most important factor for safety is the truck driver. These hardworking men and women who safely move over 70% of our nation's freight and 94% of Nevada's. We thank you because trucks move America forward.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Events Center in Las Vegas. Host meetings and events on 2 floors. Stay in luxurious rooms and suites. Unlimited branding opportunities. Regional Italian cuisine by Chef Mark Segrizi. Flexible event spaces. Full buyout options. Visit ahernhotel.com today.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day at nevadanewsmakers.com. You can also check our archive going back to 2005 on our website. Again, nevadanewsmakers.com. We'll see you on the next show.